Just getting it's cool. This light. See that? How cool is that? And look, it's shining off my top of my head now. There you go. I like lining things up, and you know, um, it helps when I'm building things. So, how is everyone going? Welcome. I'm doing good. It's a Sunday. I went and volunteered at the community garden this morning, so it was good. And at the end of that everyone shares a bit of food that they've like harvested from their either their veggie garden or the shared bit. And so I got a bunch of bananas, so I'm going to make banana bread tomorrow, which is cool. And I got a bunch of lettuce, so I'll make a salad with the lettuce. Yeah. So I'm a little bit tired, but not too tired. I went and saw the sunset this afternoon, which is awesome. I enjoyed that. Was only there for like half an hour or so, but it was good. A bit longer actually, 40 minutes. It was really relaxing. I really enjoyed it. I need to do it more often. For me, watching the sunset and the sunrise is my most nourishing thing, with nature. And so yeah, it's been a full-on week. I am doing the 2 courses at the moment, business course and the permaculture course. They're both going really well. And I guess what I wrote in the intro description was, keeping momentum going. And yeah, I'm really working on that. So the 2 courses are both 2 days or 2 lessons a week each, and it's manageable. I can do them. They're both online courses. The permaculture's got a on location element later in the year, so I'll hopefully go to that, but I can just do the course itself online. And so they're both that works for me, being able to do them from home. And they're not full on, like they're pretty intensive. There's a lot of work involved, but it's not like I'm trying to do too much. That's been my problem in the past with things. Go from not doing much to doing too much, and then it getting difficult. And that's what I was wanting to talk about tonight, is getting a momentum going and keeping a steady pace, try not taking too much on, but at the same time, challenging yourself, like not to do too little. The more you do, the more you can do, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, um, and I've got so many projects that have, halfway through that I've sort of put aside that I'm picking up again. So that's a big thing. Is as soon as I've got that extra energy, I've got all these things sitting there ready to do. I've still got my guitar to sand the fretboard and fill in the frets and make a fretless guitar. It's been sitting there. I've got the strings, got everything to do. I don't have to spend any money. So I look forward to like getting that. Hopefully this week. We'll see. I've got a lot to do. Like in the next month, because this business course goes for a month, and so it increases what I've got to do. So it starts off the first few lessons, not too much. And then after that, like I've got to keep up with it now. So I've got my first lot of homework to do now. And so Tuesday's the next lesson. So I'll catch up for that. I'll have it ready. And then, I'll keep that happening, keep that going. And so by the end of it, I'll have an extensive, proper business plan for what I want to do with this nature therapy mindfulness. And that's working really well too. So there's a chance I'm going to get some space at the garden with some raised garden beds where I can take people to teach them or show them how they can do gardening themselves and plant some vegetables or herbs or flowers, whatever they want to plant, but teach them how they can look after and manage and get something from looking after a plant or plants. And then there's also an aspect of not everything works out, so they could plant a bunch of stuff and then it doesn't necessarily all flourish. So that's a great thing to understand, that expectations aren't always going to be met, but also to appreciate things when they do work. So I'm really excited for that, and it will really help me with that, and it'll give me a lot of opportunities to really. The reason why I want to work in this field is that because I've got complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm healing and learning how to do these things to make my life better. If I can work with people in person and show them things, it's not like as a healer or anything like that. I'm just teaching them what I do: journaling, mindfulness, bushwalking, nature therapy, art therapy, horticultural therapy. So all those things, I know they work for me. And so if I can share that with other people, they can get benefit, and it will be enriching for both of us. I will get a lot from it if I can help people to understand that they can make their lives better by doing these simple things: self-care, investing in yourself, and you're building resilience by giving yourself time and space. Going to taking people to go watch the sunset and the sunrise as well. those things are just going to be, I mean, for me, that's like a dream job, because I'll enjoy what I'm doing, but I'm also helping other people have those experiences where they get those positive things from it. Also teaching about, um, communication through nonviolent communication, being able to express yourself better. Um, all of these things I think it's all going to start bit by bit working, and you know, a lot of these things will be just showing how sometimes teaching people how the nervous system works and how relaxation and calming things, nourishing things help build strength and resilience in your nervous system. So there's a lot of people out there who've got trauma who don't understand this stuff, and they can learn this stuff if they do the research, but not everyone's read books on it or watched hundreds of hours of videos and documentaries and interviews and stuff. So, in a lot of ways, all that time that I've spent already is sort of going to benefit, and I can put together this information and show how, mindfulness and other things like nature therapy or ecotherapy, it has a real effect where you strengthen your nervous system. So when you get into a triggered state, you're not going to get stuck in it for as long. And, you're still going to have the thing about triggers. It's still going to go through that pain. And I'm not doing that work where I'm trying to help people with that. It's building resilience so that, and also, if you are stressed out for most of your week, but then you go for a session and we go watch the sunset or go for a bushwalk, and they get that strengthening but also relaxation and easing of their nervous system, it's going to be a positive thing. And so, I'll be sharing a lot of this stuff here as well. So, people can just follow along and do this stuff yourself. And, I'll primarily be doing this business in person where I live, but I will be doing conference based through, video chat sessions as well down the track. But I want to, see what I can do. And I'm working towards this stuff, which is awesome, and I was working on it like it was a year ago when I started my mindfulness course. So a year ago, I had it was just over a year ago. I had no idea I'd be here now doing, talking about this business, and I did have a lot of time where I was stuck because of everything that was going on in my life, So I have to make sure I'm capable of functioning, so that I can do this stuff. But the beauty of different jobs work for different people. So I've worked in process work, worked in factories and warehouses and driving, forklift driving, in production line stuff, assembly line type stuff, process work. And that has been good in the past, dealing, like, if it's work that's not that stressful, but stress, it's like not the, it's not necessarily the best, but like, not as long as it's not causing stress being at work. And if you have that opportunity to just free your mind and think about stuff while you're working, that can be a great thing. So, you know, if I wasn't at this point in my life, I would be happy going back to work in a factory or a warehouse or something. But now I'm at this point where I've got this idea and goals. I may as well work towards it. But so when I was working in those long hour jobs, 5 days a week, that was fine. And if I was going through trauma triggers, I would still go to work and I would just work through it and I'd get home. As long as you're not so worn out from the work that you still have time to do your creative stuff on the side, which is really helpful. So, but in the past, it has been okay. But where I'm at now is like, I need to find a job where I can do so many hours a day, so many days a week, be able to adapt. And, I'm happy to work 7 days a week, but not every single day. So I'm happy to work on any given day, but still have to have my time off, because I will still have my difficult days and all that. But you know what? Moving forward, I think that's going to get less and less as I build up strength and resilience, And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do, is to show people how they can build these resilient skills themselves just by doing simple things, and that everything you do has that positive return, whether it's like cooking a meal that's nourishing or writing a story, going for a walk, practicing mindfulness, sharpening the mind, learning how to relax and calm yourself, because it really works when you're in that triggered state. If you do these things, you can bring yourself back from being in that state to a calm state. And the quicker you can do that, the quicker your stress, your heart rate goes back. You can snap out of the pain. Like when you're having a flashback trigger, and you could normally be stuck in it for days or weeks, you can stop it and pull back, and you can, you might still need a day to recover, but like, you haven't lost a whole week. You've managed to get positive again and get moving again. So for me, it's finding that balance of still having that ability to have quiet days when I just can't do anything, but then also be productive when I can, and then keep working on that, building up strength and sharpening my focus, because again, trauma causes so much that you have it causes dysfunction in brain function. You can't think properly, so being able to get back reading again has been a massive thing for me. Each time you can do something that you weren't able to do before, it's such an amazing thing. And I put a lot of it down to all of these things that I have been doing. And because there's so many different types of things that you can do, find the ones that work the best for you. Find the ones that you enjoy the most, because isn't it even better to strengthen your resolve and strengthen your your abilities to think again and be enjoying doing it. Like, you know, it's like a win-win-win. It's just gets better and better all the time. Not everything's all happening at once though. I've got my guitars sitting here on either side, and I haven't barely picked up my guitars for months. I haven't got back to that point where I'm playing guitar again, and I know how much I love doing it and how much it gives me positive returns, but I know I'll get back to that. I haven't done archery for like 2 years now. Three years. Time flies. No, 2.5. Yeah. That's how long it's been. 2.5 years. But yeah, one day I'll get back to it. For me, there's more important things anyway at the moment, but I know that that's something that gives me a lot of calmness. It has the discipline. It's like any form of like martial arts or anything like that. There's a lot of it is strength building, confidence building, responsibilities, and safety. So it's all about being serious, but also having fun. Like, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're improving. Each arrow you throw is like you're focusing on what you did differently to the last time, and you get a little bit better each time. But it can be like that with guitar. It can be like that with drawing or painting. Cooking is another one. Not every time I cook a meal and it's like superb, but often it's good. If I have the right attitude, it'll taste nice. Um, and cooking's one thing that you can't get too wrong with it unless you burn it. But then you're not paying attention, you know, or you try and experiment with too many the wrong flavors or something. Um, and that essentially, that's my sort of way of, it's like focus on doing things that can make you feel and enjoy life and make you feel good doing what you do, and then afterwards feel good. Like, I feel tired now because today I volunteered down at the garden and I worked for a few hours, and then we had a meeting afterwards, and then so that was, when you have a meeting, something like that, it uses a lot of mental energy. But then I made connections with people there. It was great. And then so and then I was chatting with a friend afterwards. And then I went and watched the sunset. I spent a little bit of time with my dad. And then all these great things happened today. So I had this thing about the raised garden beds, which I might be able to get access to. So that'll help me with my goals for like starting this in-person eco nature therapy business. And then I got all these bananas and lettuce free given to me and citrus. I got limes and lemons. So all of this stuff, awesome. And then, yeah, then the sunset, and I got some nice photos from the sunset, and I didn't stay there too long afterwards, but I will do that again later this week. You know, it's really my favorite time of day is, you know, watching the sunset and then just sitting calmly and just being there while it goes into the twilight and gets dark. And you hear all the different animals, you know, making their sounds. And some animals are going home to roost and other animals are waking up. You know, the nocturnal animals are starting to wake up. And so it's this beautiful time of day. Awesome. So Amelia was here early on. I'm not sure if she's here still, but she's got the beautiful emojis with the falling leaf and the flowers and the fairy. That's beautiful. And Basic Glitch is here as well. Basic Glitch says, hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm smiling. I'm having a great day. Thank you. I hope the same for you. And it's like early, like lunchtime sort of thing, mid-morning. So early morning Sunday. I hope you're having a relaxed, chilled out Sunday, Basic Glitch. Shaw's here as well. Awesome. Shaw says, hi, Luke, wait with the waving hands. Hi, everyone. See, I love this. I love doing these streams on a Sunday, you know. It is, and it's all different times. So we got Shaw's in Canada and Basic Glitch is in Czechia. So it's like we're all over the world. I love it. So I will try and, you know, do some streams like this at different times so that it's better times for different parts of the world. Because I know it is very early morning in Canada. It's like middle of the night, sun's about to rise, very early in the morning. So thanks for being here. Are you sure? So I appreciate it. And I will, you know, as I get things happening again, I guess what I was talking about is having momentum and keeping things going, keeping that momentum going. That's what I'm trying to do now, is like just keep a regularity. I was a little bit too much stop start for a while. And now I'm getting things happening. Just it's not, you know, it's not too much, but like the good thing about doing these courses is that they're not too full on. There's a lot of work in them, but I'm still able to do stuff. So, and it's not overwhelming, which is great. So I think that that's going to really help. And then one of the courses will finish it in 3.5 weeks. And then I'll only have one that I'm working on. So it gives me even more opportunity so that at that point, what I'm working on, I'll have more time for. So it's awesome, you know. I've enjoyed doing those cooking streams, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to get all those bananas I got today. I'm going to make banana bread tomorrow. So I've got the bananas, I've got the sugar, I've got flour, but I need to get self-raising flour. Maybe we've got self-raising flour. I should get some nuts to put in it. Doesn't need it, but I may as well make some gourmet deluxe banana bread, and I'll do a stream about it too, which will be fun. Make banana bread with me tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't know when. I'll work out when. Maybe tomorrow morning, and then that way it'll be evening, Sunday night for anyone in America, Canada. And then that way, because I do have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, so that gives me the rest of the day to do all the stuff that I need to do. Basic Glitch says, I'm having a good day, thank you. I'm on a walk with my dog and I found 2 big black feathers. Awesome. I love doing that. I'm always looking for feathers when I go for walks. I love that. And I walk home with the feathers in my I walk along with feathers in my hands. It's such a cool thing. When I go walking, I'm always scanning the ground for feathers on the ground. It's awesome. I've got, like, I can show you. Here's some of my feathers. I love it. They're all different ones. Magpies, currawongs, a lot of turkeys. I love it. That's a Corella. So, yeah, that's awesome, basically. And this one's a tawny frogmouth. That's a tawny frogmouth, which is, they call it tawny frogmouth owl, but it's not an owl. We get a lot of turkey feathers here because we got the bush turkeys. So a lot of these turkey feathers. And I've got lots of these little old jars. So I just put them, whenever I find feathers, I just stick them in jars. But yeah, I'll finish that. Basic Glitch says, yeah, people looking at me weird because I put them in my hair. Oh, I can't put them in my hair because I haven't got hair, but I can put them in my beard. There we go. How many feathers can I fit in my beard? I look like some Celtic warrior about to go into battle. Maybe I should do this when I go walking. You don't worry about people looking at you like you're weird. Basic Glitch. What do you think they're going to think when they see me? I go, what's this guy doing? He's got feathers in his beard. Can't even see that one. But yeah, look at this. Actually, I've never done this. There's a new fashion style. You watch, people are going to be walking on the catwalks in Europe, and they'll be like sticking feathers in their. Well, people are going to have to grow beards first, but they'll be doing that. They'll be sticking feathers in their hair. I'll say, look, I got this from Basic Glitch, mate. I'm not the originator of this fashion trend. Someone else came up with this. I usually yeah, but I do. I'll walk along with the feathers when I pick them up. Still got one there. Cat's here, awesome. Cat says hi, all waving with the smiley face. How you going, Cat? Awesome to see you. Basically says, oh, cool, a mushroom. My aesthetic is growing. Exactly. Whoa, nice feathers. Thanks, Glitch. Yeah. Some of these, they're pretty old now, some of them. Like, you know, and because I've just got them sitting out, like, little insects come along and they eat them. So they're starting to get holes in them and stuff. See the holes in them? But that's the thing. I just got to find more, Basically, it says hi. I'd say that's to everyone, but like to Cat just got here. Basically says, oh, cool. Yeah. That's what I think that was when I was putting their feathers in my bed. Yeah, Are You Sure says, hi, Cat. Hi, Basic. Cat says, my son used to collect feathers. Had jars like yours full of them. Good memories. There you go. Awesome. Well, that, hopefully he gets back into that because, it's such a, it's, you have memories of them, So, and like I was saying, eventually the insects and little critters come and eat them. So like you have to keep collecting them. They don't last forever. The ones that do last, like quills, you do need to spray them with like glycerin or something. There's something you spray on it to protect them, to stop the animals from eating them. And I've never done that. Whenever I collect feathers, I just put them in the jar or put them whatever. So yes, much fun collecting feathers. I'm going to have to go on a feather hunt tomorrow. We should all do it. Isn't this fun? Let's all go looking for feathers in our wherever we live. Go for a walk looking for feathers. Some people collect interesting leaves that fall from the trees. I love doing that too. But for me, it's feathers. Feathers are my favorite. Kat says, "Hi, are you?" Waving. Basically, she says, "Hell yeah!" With this, that was when I was sticking the feathers. Yeah, feathers in beards are cool too. Yeah. you do you have any war paint too? It will look cool. I do have paint. I could do that. I could get some I do look like one of those. Yeah. I'll get some. I'll have to. I'll look for some. That will be fun. See, isn't it cool to just like not worry about this stuff and just enjoy? Just so, but I will. I'll look for some paint. That would be fun. I need to get some fresh feathers though. See, look at this one. It's all eaten. Basic says, that's awesome, Kat. How are you, by the way? How are you, by the way? Kat says, I'm doing well today, thanks. How are you going, Basic Glitch? Basic Glitch says, today's good. Probably hurt someone yesterday, so I'm a bit sad about that. But I don't know how to deal with the situation, so I shut down. Yeah, that's difficult. It's not always. You're aware of, situations. I mean, I had one during the week. I had one where I was sort of rude, short, like smart. I sort of got, someone said something that I thought they were being smart to me. So I made a smart comment back. And then I thought, why did I say that? Like, I didn't need to. And then I went and apologized. And this person said, oh, look, don't worry about it. It's fine. Nothing wrong. And like, I said, yeah, well, that's all right. But, like I didn't need to respond like that. And he said, but I was only joking anyway. So like, I wasn't meaning to be, there was no malice, So I then was like, oh, that's fine. And then I went, oh, well, I don't need to worry. And then I felt good because I'd actually tried to correct what I'd done. So I realized I didn't need to respond like that. And I could have actually continued the joke in a happy sort of way, and I sort of didn't. So, but again, that wasn't something that happened to me during the week, and then I realized, I am glad I went back and apologized because I didn't want to leave it like that. But then I didn't need to because they didn't think anything of it. But then I'm like, yeah, I can overthink things, but at the same time, it's good. I'm getting better at how I respond to particular, how I react or not react. So basically it says this would look cool. Celtic warriors would have blue, probably like barbarian color, according to the Romans was blue. Yes, they did, didn't they? They used to paint themselves. They would paint themselves blue, but they'd also go into battle naked. And I'm a little bit overweight at the moment to be doing any of that, So maybe I could just put blue, some stripes or something like that. Or just like smatter it. Yeah, maybe I'll get some blue paint. Go full Celtic. Kat says, I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. I'm glad today is better day though. Yeah. And that's responding to Glitch. Because yeah, it is rough. But Glitch says, oh, it's not rough for me. For them, maybe if they like me, I just feel bad. But see, remorse shows that remorse shows awareness, and then it also implies that you want to do better anyway. So it is a good thing. You're working on reacting or acting better. So you have to go through that pain of remorse but you're also reflecting on your behavior. And you got to understand too, which I'm sure you do, is that everyone contributes to this communication thing. It's, people feed off each other. And so that's like what I was using that example of me. Someone said something that I thought was being smarty pants. And so I got sort of defensive, like when someone says something sarcastic and you don't get that they're being sarcastic, you think they're being literal, and you either get offended or you're like, no, or defensive. And you're like, no, I mean this. And they're like, come on, I was just joking. I was just being sarcastic, or I didn't, and I have that thing where I will be, depending on what sort of emotional state, like I'll either be more defensive or more serious, and then other people might say something that's not serious or sarcastic, and I take it to heart. I take it literally or something. But then I will be jovial and joking around and making fun and having a laugh at other times when I'm able to. And so it is this difficult thing. And I think that's where, for me, it comes down to my mood. If I'm a little bit depressed, or I've got too much in my mind, or I've been triggered by things, then the windows for that stuff gets smaller, and then I can't take it. And so then I actually miss when someone's being joking. So, and then it can be embarrassing. Then I get embarrassed because I'm like, how did I not even see that as being sarcastic? Because that's what in my situation it was like that. And obviously yours might be completely different there, Glitch. But you're showing remorse and you're thinking about it. So, and the other thing is that with communication, we need to give allowances for each other. So you don't let people walk all over you, but sometimes you understand that they don't necessarily mean what they say. And then that gives you an opportunity to realize that sometimes I'll say stuff that I didn't mean for it to be like the way it was. And then that way I don't need to feel as bad if I've spoken a certain way. So giving those sorts of allowances back and forth between each other, but you need to have sort of barriers, or not barriers, boundaries, or sort of, you don't give away too much. Don't let them. I mean, if someone is making fun of you over and over, they're bullying you. So you got to pull back and don't let them. So, or you let them know that it's not appropriate. It is difficult. But yeah, it's something I've definitely identified, is that there's a predisposition based on what's on my mind. And it can be that if I watch 5 minutes of the mainstream news, I get so upset by, what they're saying and how they're trying to put a angle on something without being objective and showing both sides and talking about the underlying things associated with things. They're neglecting a whole thing, but they're talking about this thing like everyone needs to believe this, like this. But then when so it creates cognitive dissonance, and it gets very upsetting. And so then I'll get in an upset state. And then the next person I talk to, I don't have then the tolerance for a simple joke, because I've been upset. And that's why they call it agitation propaganda, is that similar to like the feeds on social media, where it can make you upset by showing you this stuff over and over to elicit a response. I mean, it's a different thing with traditional media where it's a one-way direction, but that doesn't matter. It's still doing the same thing. It's story after story, and it builds, and even 5 minutes of it can be enough for me to need half an hour or an hour away from not speaking to anyone, because I'll be so upset about what I've just seen that anyway, I'll stop talking about that stuff. So for me, it's not allowing those things to affect me. And it can be the same thing as if I'm with one of the downsides, well, there's lots of downsides to complex trauma, is that not necessarily much recapitulation or revisiting the past, So you might have a trauma trigger, and then it causes you to go back through all this stuff and replay long after you've gone through the pain of the trigger and the flashback part and the fear and the physical pain, the shock. But then you're going through the past, and you're slowly building up sadness or agitation based on all of these events in the past you can't do anything about anyway. So learning how to actually stop yourself from doing that is a very powerful thing. That's where mindfulness comes in, and that's where self-care, doing these things, gets you out of getting stuck in your head. You get stuck in your head thinking about that. You can't necessarily pick up a book and go, oh, look, I'll just pick up a book, and I'll just start reading this book. And then you read a few lines, and then while you're reading, you're actually still thinking about this stuff from the past. And then you're just like reading it, and then you have to read the page again. And then you're like, I'm not even reading this book. I'm still replaying stuff from the past. And so you put the book down because you can't even read because you're still stuck in that. So if that's the case, find something else, and that's what they say. This is what I've been taught from trauma counselors, is that change your space, change your location. If you're in a room and you're lying on your bed, you might seem like you can't move. Look, just if you can get out of that room and go to another room, sit in the sunshine for 5 minutes, and it will change. Like changing your location in some way will change your frame of mind, because it would be nice to be able to just pick up a book and read and switch off from this stuff and then just focus on what you're reading. But it's not as easy to do that, for some people it's exercise. So if you can, it certainly works for me. Sometimes if I'm really stuck on something and I go for a walk around the block, I'll be pacing and I'll just be thinking, oh, I'm angry, sort of thing, or I'm upset, I'm sad. But at least I'm actually working through thinking about things, but I'm not getting stuck on something. I'm working on it at a different pace because I'm physically moving. But if I'm not able to read a book, I'm halfway through a page and I'm like, I just can't read at the moment. So I throw the book down, I'll put my shoes on, I'll walk out and I'll walk around the block. I'll get distracted by the wind, the sound of the birds, feeling good because I've, getting blood flow happening, getting oxygen in, changing location. Some people can just do, exercises like sit-ups and push-ups. That can be a great thing, because when you're doing that, that's mindfulness as well. You're focusing on something, you're present in that process, you're repeating that action. Guitar has been a great thing, like I'd pick up the guitar and I would, I could play for hours, and just zone into playing guitar, So, but then it became a thing where I couldn't pick it up. So whatever it is, find that thing, but changing it up a little bit. It could be as simple as, say you still can't get out of bed, you're still stuck in bed, you're bedridden, and you got the light off. Switch the light on. If you're lying in bed and the light's on, go switch the light off. If you can't leave your room, it's still changing it up a little bit. If you find you're doing the doom scrolling thing and it's upsetting you, realize, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to switch off. Find something positive. I watched a really amazing documentary last night about Inca farming techniques, and it was the best documentary I've seen in ages. It's on YouTube. I can't find it right now, but like, it was just so well made, simple, really explained the Inca people and how they grew food at like such high altitudes in deserts and in really hostile, extreme environments, and how they had a social cohesion and how they built technologies to sustainably farm and utilize nature, work with it, and I was like, this is such a great documentary. And then I scroll through the comments and everyone's saying the same thing. Oh, this is the best documentary. Thank you for sharing this. Like, I'm so glad I've came across this documentary right now. Like, so that is so much better than being stuck watching political commentary or that sort of stuff, or true crime, or any of these sorts of things that could have adverse effects. I still find solace in studying world history of like civilizations and empires, and things that can make you upset when you look at what has gone on in the world too. So again, when I notice I'm doing that, try and switch it up, even if it is that. Like, what are you consuming? What's your input? If I can't read a book, I can watch a documentary. What's the documentary about? Is it enlightening? Is it going to make me feel better? Or is it going to make it worse? Sometimes those documentaries about organized crime or scandals or government corruption or world affairs, geopolitical warfare. I don't like watching things, but more like history of empires and stuff. It's not nice because it's there's often people getting hurt, but then you're learning about the history of things. But then if it gets to a point where it's not, I can't handle it, I switch away and I find something else. So I'll have to find that documentary about the Inca farming techniques and put it on my I'll post it on my YouTube page so you can all watch it. It's a great documentary. It's very enlightening and it's peaceful. Talks about a reasonably peaceful culture that existed in extreme environments for thousands of years and then sort of vanished, as we came into this modern era. But they had some really amazing societal structures, which I thought was a positive thing. So it was like a good news story, something to like, oh, this is great. So I need to find more of those things. I can't listen to music much at the moment. I've got my speakers here and I haven't turned my amp on and listened to a CD for ages. So maybe I need to push myself to do that, I'll catch up on the chat. Yeah, but Kat says shutting down is hard. I get lost in it sometimes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it is difficult, isn't it? Like when you are in that state, it can be the most difficult thing to just get moving again. And you can, and they call it procrastination, but you're really in that slow freeze state, or flop. It's a new form of trauma response they call. And you know, it's such a good thing when you're able to like change things up and snap out of that. But it's so easy to be stuck in it for such a long time, you know. I find, you know, it's when you really just push yourself, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to walk around the block, and as soon as you put your shoes on and walk out the door, you feel better. It's like you can feel real bad, and you're like, I'll just have a shower, whether or not it makes me feel better or not. And then you have a shower, you get in the shower, and you're like, oh, I feel so much better now. I'm glad I did this. Same thing with, like, rather than like just rushing eating some food that's like you're not going to put it much attention to it. Go like, I'm just going to cook a simple meal, even if it's just got 2 ingredients or 3 ingredients, but I'm not going to like force it down. I'm not going to like rush it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to cook this. I don't feel good right now. I'm not even hungry. But as soon as you start smelling the onion frying or whatever it is, you feel a little bit better. Then after a while, you're like, oh, I'm glad I'm actually doing this, you know? You get distracted because you're doing something. And then by the time the meal's ready, you're so glad that you did this, and you're looking forward to eating it, and, you know, and then you enjoy it, and then you feel better afterwards. It's like, but you could be stuck in that state where you just can't do anything, and it can last for days and weeks even. But obviously you need to eat at some point. And so if you can switch from that eating to just get food down to like go, no, I'm just going to cook something. I'm not going to try and make something full on. I'm just going to cook something. Just in that process, just bit by bit, you know. Lots of little ways to break out of that. Basically, she says, yeah, I feel you. By the way, I need to go away. So bye. I was glad to be here. Oh, basically, she had to leave. Thanks for being here, Glitch, and look forward to catching up again soon. Much love, and yeah. Kat says, good to chat, basic Glitch. Waving. Kat says, tone is so important with sarcasm. It's hard to read sometimes. It can be triggering. Absolutely. Thanks for that comment, Kat. That is so true. And that's what happened to me. Because the thing is, I didn't expect it. You know when you can expect sarcasm from someone who's always sarcastic, but then if someone rarely is sarcastic, when they are sarcastic, then the tone, it really grates, and it's just like, wow, it sounds like they're fully judging, or they're either judging, or they're deliberately mocking, or putting you down, or something like that. And it really is triggering, or it grates. Catalyzer's here. How you going, Catalyzer? Catalyzer says hello. Cat says hi, Catalyzer. Catalyzer says set and setting. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good thing to think about. Set and setting, because if you can change the setting, you can change your frame of mind, you know. It really is such a powerful thing, and it can be such a simple thing as switching the radio station, changing the channel, you know. opening a window, letting some fresh air in, switching the light on and off, whatever it is, going for a walk, something. But it goes back to that thing being, it can be such a difficult thing to actually get that started. So once you get those positive returns from doing those things, and you can remember, that's right, last time I was in this state, all I had to do was this, and I felt better. Like the other day, we had all this wind, and I went and cleaned up all the leaves, and it was like, I was like, you know what? It's probably going to stay windy and more leaves will fall. But then I thought, no, I'll clean them up now. I may as well. I'm just going to do it. And then I felt better while I was doing it. And then there was all these leaves on the grass. And then I thought, well, I may as well just mow while I'm at it now that I've cleaned up the leaves. And then I mowed and picked up all the leaves. And then I felt really good afterwards. And the wind stopped. No more leaves fell. And so I'd actually just cleaned up at the right time. So it felt really good. And that was one of those times where I was just like, I wasn't really in the mood. And then I finally got to it. Eliza says, yeah, exercise works for me also. Yes, it certainly does, doesn't it? It's such a good thing. I need to do it more often. I need to do it every day. I need to develop that habit. I need to develop it as a habit, and a good habit. And then so it just becomes part of my life. And then you don't have to do it every day, but you have to do it enough days of the week without having to force yourself to do it. But at first, it does take pushing yourself to actually do it. Catalyzer says, hi, Kat. Kat says, yes, small achievable goals. It's what gets me through each day. Just breaking everything down into small steps. That's a really good one. That is a really good one. Just don't try too much, I talk about writing lists a lot, get a book, and it doesn't have to be a diary, but just whatever page you're on, write a list for the day, and then work on it. So, I'm using this book at the moment as a workbook for my courses. But at times, this particular book was my sort of workbook for what I'm doing. And so for me, writing lists helps me make those achievable goals. And you might put like something that aspirational, like go see the sunset. You might not achieve it, but like that's all right. You've still put that one down, but you've put the washing on, cook a meal, because that's enjoyable too. Not everything needs to be things that, everything's important, and knowing that, you can enjoy doing these things, like but breaking it down into these achievable goals. And then that way you actually, by having the list, even if you don't achieve the goals, you just put those things that you didn't get done on the next list for the next day. And so eventually you get to it. But if you don't, and then you can hold yourself accountable to things, but then you can also look at something and go, well, look, I didn't get all these 3 things done, but I did get these 3 other things done. And so you can look at your wins, and then whatever things you didn't get done, not get so worried about it. Just you're still going to get around to them. And then you eventually do, because you keep them on your list. So Eliza says, it's been long since I really had PTSD responses. I'm glad, but yeah, in small ways still sometimes. I'm really glad to hear that that's things that have gotten better for you. And it can get better, which is amazing, isn't it? And I look at the triggers I get and the time that I'm spend stuck, much less now. And I totally agree that, you know, they can pretty much, some of them can go away, but then things will pop up and emerge every so often, and that is the nature of it. And that's what I was talking about last week, is just these things popped up, and there was too many in the same week, and it became too much for me. So I progressively got more and more upset. But it is such a relief that knowing that you can heal, and that when you do get to that stage where you're not getting those triggers all the time, it's such a good thing. And it does take work, you know. So that is really good to hear. But yeah, Catalyzer says, yeah, mindfulness meditation helped me. Awesome. Totally does, doesn't it? And it's such a difficult thing too, initially, to start. I was talking about this with someone today. I said, you know, it took me a couple of months to really break through with mindfulness. Like working at it every day. I couldn't focus. I couldn't get it working. And I was like, I know I've just got to stick to it. And then when it finally worked, I was so happy. I was almost jumping around cheering, because I was like, it does work. I can do this. And it's like taking control of your thoughts and your ability to relax and focus your attention after having it sort of not being able to focus is such an amazing relief, you know, and it's encouraging. So yes, mindfulness and meditation, very powerful, but also very difficult and that's why with PTSD and complex PTSD, it can be difficult without having someone there with you, reinforcing it and getting you to push through with it. So I found doing a course and having the materials, so having good quality materials. So I was listening to meditations, and that really helped. Eliza says, nah, for real, exercise and good nutrition. Once you got that rolling, you don't want to stop. Yeah, exactly. You get that happening. You get that good habit, positive habit. And you feel better. I've been finally eating better food recently. Not every day, but a lot more often. And I just feel so much better for it. And it is just going to get better now. I'm excited to be, you know, like I said, I'm going to make banana bread tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Are you sure? Says hi, Catalyzer, with the waving. Awesome. So, yeah, absolutely. Mindfulness, meditation, it really does. And it works so well. MJG's here. Awesome. MJG says, banana bread. Awesome. Yes. I look forward to it. I'll do a live stream tomorrow, MJG. So hopefully you can join. And Yes, it's going to be awesome. I don't know what nuts to put in it. I know you often put walnuts in banana bread, but I was thinking macadamia nuts might be nice. So, or even cashews. But I think I'll get macadamia nuts. And I don't think I'll put like anything too sweet in it other than that. But MJG says hello all with the hearts. That's beautiful. MJG's got the thumbs up. Yes, I will. I'll do banana bread. I'll do a stream making it, and then I can chat while it's in the oven. Catalyzer says it's difficult. Yeah, but I had the practice of meditation before my trauma experience, so that's why I guess I was able to do it easier. That's really powerful. So I'm wondering how long after the traumatic events it took before you could use it to help heal, or whether you had like a period where you were just sort of frozen, stuck, and just couldn't really, and then eventually got back to the meditation. Because I could see that happening, you know. But having that, because I just know myself when I have trauma triggers or something traumatic, like it floors me for ages, and then I finally get moving again. But that's a really good that's a really good example of doing meditation is a strengthening thing, which creates resilience, so that it's not going to save you from going through a traumatic event and having the post-traumatic stress from it. But already having those skills meant that it was easier for you to approach it later, that's awesome. So it's like learning a skill that you didn't know that you're going to be able to use it to heal yourself later, and then something bad happens, and then you get around to being able to use it, and it's easier because you've already practiced it. So I mean that's a perfect example of I've had similar experiences with learning a skill for something, and then later on being in a position where I've thought in the past, oh, that's not really going to benefit me. But then I'm talking about doing something for work. And then it's like, oh, but I can do this because I've done that. And then I'm able to fix something or make something, build something. And it's just not as stressful. I'm like, oh, but I can do this because I've had that past experience. And this is where a lot of skills transfer, art, creating art, you're learning skills that you can transfer to so many different things. But for instance, like a lot of a lot of things are practically applicable, and that's why learning as many different skills, basic things, can be utilized across so many different things, because so many things follow similar patterns. And I've thought that about things where I've like done a job for a certain amount of time, and then I've left that industry or that job, and then I think, oh, well, that's a waste learning all that. But it's not, because later on I end up using skills that I've learnt there in something completely different. I didn't even think I'd be able to benefit from, but you do. And I mean, that's different to what you're talking about with the meditation, but in a lot of ways, you know, it has that thing where it's like you're doing that work in the past helped you in the future, so you can become present again. So that's awesome. Are you sure? Says MJG waving. Awesome. Catalyzer says nuts are awesome. They are. There's nuts are full of, you know, amino acids, protein, iron, lots of minerals. Really good for you. So whenever I go shopping, I usually buy a couple of bags. You know, I mean, they're expensive, but they're so good for you. And when you break it down, it's such a good thing to have as part of your diet. MJG says on video. Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about, doing the banana bread. Yeah, I'll make that tomorrow. I've got to go buy nuts, self-raising flour. Although we might have self-raising flour, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look up and see how you do a test to see if your flour is self-raising. I'm sure you just add water to it, and if it starts bubbling, then it's self-raising flour. But I'll consult the internet. But if not, I'll buy some. I usually don't use self-raising flour. I usually just use plain flour and like yeast. Or if I use flour in cooking, I add it as a filler. You know, I cook it into a bake type thing. Or I made fries yesterday. I made chips, and I cut up potato, and then I sprinkled it with curry powder and mixed that all in. And then I poured a bit of olive oil on, and then I sprinkled flour all in the chips, and I mixed it all up. And then I add a little bit more flour and a little bit more olive oil, and then I put it in the air fryer, and it just was perfect. It was like beer batter chips that you buy from a bistro or something. So that was nice. So that's the sort of way I use flour. I don't use it a lot in cooking. So I don't often have self-raising flour. So I will get some and maybe start using it somehow. Kat says, hi, MJG. MJG says, super. Yes, that's going to be good. Adeliza says, yeah, at first I had the traumatic stress and freeze response, breakdowns. To be honest, when I try to think back to it, I blank out right now. So I don't know how much time it took for me to handle it. Because yeah, that's it. There was just that whole, because you're in that, you have a shock period, don't you? Where you're in that freeze response, and you even have sort of empty time or blank time, where time just sort of stops. You're still living, you're still eating, you're still doing things, but you're not really doing anything or much. You're still in shock. And then bit by bit but then you keep going back into then you have the post-traumatic stress triggers and flashbacks. And then that gets a little bit better. That's when, if you're investing in yourself and you're making things a bit better, you get more control back, and you getting your brain function happening again. So obviously, when you got to that point where you could meditate again, you took control of your brain back from that dysfunction. And you see it like they do the fMRI and also the brain scans on the graphs and show you, and it just shows the difference between normal brain activity or someone with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's all over the shop. And so that's where the trauma healing really comes from, doing things that regulate brain activity again. Mindfulness, doing art, dancing, singing, playing an instrument, exercising, going for walks, anything that can do that. And that's why anything that brings you back into the present and gives you something to focus on, it replaces those things, and it allows the brain function to happen again. And then the longer you can keep that going, the more stable and regular it will become. You know? Adeliza says, yeah, I'm still young and I know neurology, fish oil and stuff, because I also had a MTBI before, and I study biotech now. I hope I can pass, and lots of working out. So I guess just stronger now. That's awesome that you see, again, having that knowledge, like having, I don't know what MTBI is, but I'm thinking mountain bike, MTB. But no, I don't know what that is. Is that's but maybe, so you were already studying, and you're studying biotech. So isn't that great that you having to understand how to fix yourself has given you an insight into how you can apply that, you know, and things that are the things that, because it's not just exercise and mindfulness and meditation, it's also diet, you know, getting the right nutrients, phytonutrients, enzymes, you know, the right oils. You know, the body needs all these things to rebuild itself, especially with, you think you have neuroplasticity, but if you want to regrow your brain matter, you need to feed your brain, and you need to, you know, give it everything you can to like help it grow again. I mean, you can look at a classic example is, you know, you can have a plant that has been grown over by all these weeds, and it's been like covered over and starved of light and air, and like just been just, you know, depleted, and all its soil has been starved of like all the things that help it grow. But then, you know, something comes along and the things that are constricting around it ease up, and suddenly this plant, now it can fix itself. But if you're thinking, if you're looking at the plant like as yourself, as your mind and your body, you need to give it, make sure it gets that light, make sure it gets that oxygen or that the right air, and like in the soil as well as around it. You know, get that nutrients into the root system so that it can flourish again. Get the microbes and the worms there so they can help make the soil good, so that the roots can feed the plant and the plant can thrive. And you can have a plant that is shriveled up and looks like there's not much going on because it's had this terrible thing being going on, and then suddenly it thrives again, and it just it's growing in it, you know. So not once with the right input and the right encouragement and the right nurturing, things can like really get better and better. It says, I've been doing mega dosing fish oil. I read it, it says as effective as antidepressant. I think it's been helping. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's one thing, like I am lacking in that because I don't eat fish or meat. So I know that I do take vitamins and stuff, but yeah, I need to look into what I can do because I know flaxseed oil is not good to take too much of that. And so I don't take much of it. So I need to find out what I can take and what's going to help me. But I did take fish oil for years. Fish oil is really good. Really good. Catalyzer says, it helps for sure. Keep going with it. And by the way, take it with a meal. It absorbs better with other fats. There you go. So take your fish oil before a meal, and then the meal becomes like it supercharges it. Catalyzer says it's important for cell membrane fluidity. There you go. Catalyzer says mild traumatic brain injury. MTBI. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go. Neuroplasticity. You can heal from that. Absolutely. You know, it's one of the things with ABIs, or that's why I didn't realize that was what it was. So they create a trauma in itself in the fear of what the effect could be, and how other people perceive it. There's an unknown about it. But hey, we know with neuroplasticity, input, reducing emotional trauma will help the brain, because what happens is the brain will keep degenerating whilst going through prolonged emotional trauma, which is one of the effects of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is a form of atrophy and dying off. So you have to encourage it. That's why doing things that are creative or learning new things, and then combining it with the right food, you can overcome all this stuff, and you can even get stronger because you're regrowing these things. And so, in a sense, trauma on the brain is similar also to, because it is trauma, and that's what causes you can have, especially a traumatic brain injury can be the trauma of the injury creating PTS, but then the actual injury itself going through the healing stage of bruising, that sort of thing on the brain, So depending on, and again, so it's really great to hear that you're doing everything to make it better. That says, thanks, Catalyzer. I'll stick with it. Catalyzer says, yeah, your plant metaphor is on point. No, I have read a lot of papers about neuroplasticity, and I want to help people with brain-related issues, traumatic brain injuries, PTSD, dementia, if I can. That is awesome. That is awesome, Catalyzer. I wish all the best for you with that. And it looks like you're studying to do that. So that's amazing. And you can show, like, you can prove, like, this is your example. Here, look what I did. I healed myself. You can do it too. You know, you need to do these things. And it takes time, but that's how long, you know, it takes time to heal. And then to not, when you go past through the healing, then you're growing after that point. You're getting stronger, and you know, things get better and better over time. Yeah, so there's that big thing, you know, atrophy. This is why people can, like you say, people can prolong atrophy of the brain by keeping active. Excuse me. You know, there is difficulties with neurodegenerative diseases that at the moment are very difficult to reverse. But saying that, still, changing habits, doing the right things, people can at least prevent decline, slow it down, you know, with the right foods and nutrition. People that are maybe prone for dementia or Alzheimer's can actually stop it from happening. So I think there's a lot of hope for the future with all this stuff. And, you know, getting into this field is really exciting that you're doing that. A woman who's part of the channel here, Harmony Seeker, she's studying to be a counselor now, but she'd studied neuroplasticity at university, and how it relates, how music therapy can help with neuroplasticity. So once you get the brain going again, and if you're giving it the right inputs, and then so music, and she was showing how, you know, even singing or playing music, the fact that you're having to memorize large sections of phrasing, you're getting the brain to think again in different ways. And that's, you know, it can help for healing or you know, healing from trauma, but also yeah, getting the brain working again. It's such a powerful thing. So that's awesome, Catalyzer. I'm really excited that you found your calling. Yeah, Catalyzer says exercise is also crucial for neuroplasticity. So yeah, keep going. Yeah, thanks, dude. So like, yes, yeah, that's it. Blood flow, oxygen, and getting the, you know, just keeping it moving. I know I do intermittent fasting, and I know that can be good too. So I think it's something, anything, if you're ever going to do fasting, you need to learn how to do it safely so that you're not putting your body through stress. And so, like, talk to your doctor about how to do it, and do a lot of research in how to do it correctly. And you go into it, and then what, you know, liquids like water and stuff like that you have while you're in your fasting period, going into autophagy, and then how you reintroduce food again so that you don't have spikes in your glucose or insulin. So you can cause yourself damage by doing it incorrectly. But if it's done correctly, that's another thing, because your body goes through reprocessing all this toxins and dead cells and all this stuff naturally. It's a natural thing that we need to actually do that, give our body a rest from food from time to time. Not everyone can do it easily. People that might have underlying medical health conditions mean that they can't, because it can be dangerous for them. So do the research for that particular thing, and then seek medical advice. Eliza says, chatting has helped me a lot right now. So thanks. Oh, thank you for being here, Catalyzer. We all appreciate you being here tonight. So it's awesome that it's helping you, and it's helping us too. It's really great to hear your advice and input. So thank you. But yeah, that's great. So that's what I love about this community, is we get to be there for each other. How awesome is that? Like the internet, we're chatting on the internet, but we're having a good time. But we're talking about stuff that really means a lot to us, and it's important. So there is a lot of things on this channel where when we get into these topics, and we all share what works for us, what we've tried and what doesn't work as well, and how difficult things are, and everything. I love it. Kat says, exercise is one of my biggest challenges. The endorphins are so good though. Need to get motivated. They are. The endorphins are so good, aren't they? And so and that's it. You love going for walks in nature, but it's difficult to actually get to it. And I understand that struggle, and having responsibilities means that you can't always just go for a walk, when you want to and you need to. So you have to do it when you've got that time to do it. When you go for those walks, you get the endorphins, you get oxytocin, and the stress hormones go down. So everything, like your body just is like, yes. It's such a good thing, isn't it? So, I mean, today going for watching the sunset, it was just awesome. I felt so good afterwards, and I feel great now, and that's a lot of that is from that. And the exercise I got this morning at the garden, doing the work at the garden. So that's got the heart there. Catalyzer says, yeah, I also rap. Yeah, awesome. Rap is a great thing. So that's your journaling, So if you rhyme, especially if you improvise, that's or writing it down and then reciting your rhymes. There, so you're a poet. See, that's your creative outlet. Your writing, and but freestyling is a really good thing too. Like that's a really good skill to learn. Not all people who rap or rhyme freestyle, but most people who rap freestyle a bit. Some people specialize in the freestyling, but they don't write lots of raps. They don't write a lot of rhymes. That's awesome. I got into that years ago, in my late teens, early 20s. And yeah, a friend of mine we used to freestyle when we were driving up the mountain, and we'd take turns at freestyle for a bit, and then he'd freestyle for a bit, and you get better and better at it. you know, and it's a skill you learn, and that's probably what helped me get when I write poetry, is because I did that, you know. And so yeah, keep writing rhymes, man. That's awesome. Yeah. MJG says, got the smiley face with the eyebrow and the love heart. That's awesome. Cat says, oh no, Catalyzer says, Cat, you can get that motivation. Yeah, that's it. Totally. Think about as the season gets a little bit warmer, and you can you know, appreciate the days are slowly getting longer now, so there's a little bit more sunshine, a little bit more warmth, and then we're moving into spring. It's just going to be a good time to go on for walks and seeing nature. Catalyzer says music also can help. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Cage Pastor's here. Awesome. Cage Pastor says hi, MJG, with a smiley face. Awesome to see you here, Cage Pastor. Catalyzer says, yeah, I read good things with intermittent fasting. Nice. Right now, it would be difficult for me to do. Yeah, that's it. So the trick is with it is to it has to fit and work with your schedule. And if you're studying, it can disrupt. So if you've got like holidays, maybe try it on the holidays so that you can work out to how, because 16 hours is when it's the autophagy starts, and you go into ketosis, and I think 20 hours. So 3-day fast is a really good one. You know, you don't necessarily have to go longer than that. 3 days, and then 2 days is good, because then you're getting 24 hours of being in full autophagy and ketosis, and that's enough time. But if you can do 3 days, that's even better. If once you do it correctly and you achieve ketosis, and your body is actually processing the excess fat and repurposing it and creating the ketones, you are getting everything needed for brain function. So you're not going to get delirious. You're not going to get tired. In fact, you have clarity, and you don't get brain fog. So there's all there's this confusion that it can create erratic behavior, mood swings, all this stuff. Once you've learned how to do it and you do it correctly, and you're not overexerting yourself, it's fine. You can function. But if you're in the middle of exams or middle of study or something like that, and then you try to do this stuff and then it might not work because you're stressing out and you're worried that you're not thinking right because you haven't eaten. And everyone tells you, oh, make sure you eat because you're not going to be thinking right. Well, no, if you go into proper ketosis, brain function actually increases. So, but if you don't do it right, it cannot work. And it's very different to, for instance, it's people sort of think of it like you're not sleeping. So when you have insomnia and you've been awake for 2 or 3 days, you can go into your brain starts shutting down. You can't think, and yeah. But no, that's not. And I've experienced that with intermittent fasting, where it really does work. Yeah, I need to get back to it. It's not, you don't do it to lose weight. You need to exercise and eat right to lose weight. You can intermittently fast and exercise. It's fine, but you have to learn how to do it, because if you don't achieve it properly, then it can make you uncomfortable. But once you're doing it right, you can work hard all day long. You can do it for several days. As long as you're drinking water, you're fine. A lot of benefits from doing this stuff. When I actually get around to losing weight that I've put on in the last few years, I will use the intermittent fasting to shrink the excess skin. So there's other things you can use it for too. If you've got like stretch marks and things like that, they will actually disappear from doing that. They'll shrink and then disappear. And it's been shown that this is why and how it works. Because if you've got chronic inflammation in the joints and things like that, it can help from that, because when you go into autophagy, it targets those areas where the inflammation is and cleans them out. So again, anyone who's looking into this stuff, learn as much as you can from it, from lots of different sources, and also maybe read a book on it, but also, talk to your doctor. If you have underlying medical conditions like diabetes or something like that, approach it carefully. But it could help you with your diabetes or whatever it is, chronic inflammation. Eliza says, yeah, but I'll keep in mind again. Yes, absolutely. MJG says, hello, Pastor. She's got the pasta emoji with the heart. I love that. MJG's got the smile with the raised eyebrow emoji. Catalyzer says, I write down more raps than I freestyle. Yeah, but I would freestyle if I could do it with someone else, though. That sounds fun as ASF. Absolutely. It does help having that, like, someone there, those, and you see it when they do the freestyle battles. Like I went, again, when I was late teens, early 20s, I was going to some hip hop nights, and people would get up and freestyle, and they'd battle, and it was just awesome, and like it was just a really awesome experience, and it's certainly, yeah, and people specialize in it, so I love the idea that you write down lots of raps. So you're writing these, and they're poems too, so you're a poet as well. I love that. And you can get around and record them. You can turn them into songs, and that's awesome. That says 16:8 is a good starting point with intermittent fasting. Absolutely. That is exactly it. And so you can achieve that just by not eating after 7 o'clock at night, and then waiting as long as you can in the morning. And so that you get into that mode of, some people have difficulties going to sleep without having food in the stomach, but it's actually better for you to not have lots of food in your stomach. So I used to have my main meal in the evening early, and then most digestion would happen. I wouldn't go to bed till late, and then the digestion would happen through sleep, and then 16:8 is really good. Catalyzer says, yeah, autophagy is very interesting. So many promising areas I need to look into more. Absolutely. And when you think about it, if you've with whatever things going on with the brain, if you've got inflammation on the brain, again, it's targeting that inflammation. If you're wanting to speed up neuroplasticity, you want to give it good input when you are eating things, but then you want to give it that thing where it's like giving it time for the body to go through and clean out all the bits, you know. Awesome. Catalyzer says, I record them. I've been doing it for 4 years now. Awesome, dude. And I'm guessing, I don't know, like I sometimes I get people's gender wrong. I'm guessing you're male. Just because I don't more male rappers, I don't know. But like yeah. I have had that mistake before in the past where I thought someone, and it's just because there's this anonymity here. But I've been saying, yeah, that's it. It says, yeah, that's it. Because yeah, that's the thing, and I like that whole thing with the chat is that, you know, people have got their names on there. Yeah, Case Pastor says, good guess, Luke. So yeah, Catalyzer, do you have a SoundCloud or something like that, or do you put your stuff on Spotify or any of those Mixcloud? Because I put all my music on SoundCloud. I haven't done anything for like years. 9 years now since I've recorded. I know I've got all this music on YouTube of me playing classical guitar, but like no. If you make your own beats and stuff, you know, you're welcome to sample some of my classical guitar tracks on here and use them as samples for your songs. They'd be good samples because they usually just record it with just the classical guitar. So you could take like a snippet and loop it and do all that stuff. Catalyzer says, nah, happens, I hope, for more good rappers though. Yeah, true. There is some really good ones out there. There's some awesome women rappers, hey. So Catalyzer says, yeah, SoundCloud, yeah, but I hit the upload limit and now I just have it on my PC and send it to some people. Awesome. Well, send us on. I've got my email address on my YouTube there, so like you can send me on there and send us your SoundCloud link too, because I'll have a listen to what you got up there as well. There you go. Catalyzer says, sorry, I don't make my own beats, but I would like to try. Yeah, well, that's awesome. Like in the future. But that's the thing. Like you don't have to do everything. Hey, like you can. That's the beauty about hip hop is that, you know, you got the elements of hip hop. You got the DJ. You got someone on the turntables. Someone or the producer making the beats, turntables. Then you got the MC. That's it. And then you got the people breaking to it. And then you got like someone doing some graph. It's like the elements right there. Yeah, that's it. Catalyzer says, yeah, exactly. This is why I love hip hop. It is, hey, it's like a great community. I got a friend who, like, I stopped doing graffiti a long time ago. Like, I did some a couple of years ago, but like, yeah, man, he's traveled the world. Like, he's up there and world class graffiti artist, and he's just never stopped painting. It's his life, you know. I should get in contact with him because I wonder. He hasn't put anything up on Instagram for a while, so I'm wondering what he's up to. But he never stops. He just has a break for a while, but he's never stops. Really, he's traveled the world. He's done graffiti everywhere, and like real good stuff, and he gets paid for it too. You know, he took his passion. You know, he started off. You know, when he was younger, he did. You know, he did get busted. He got caught by the cops doing illegal stuff, and then he stopped doing that and started asking permission to paint places, and then that kept growing, and then he just kept, and now he's just like world class, you know, and he's been doing it for like ages. Never stopped. I'll have to get in contact with him, see how he's going. So Catalyzer says, I'll send you something perhaps. I'm just self-conscious since I rap in English and I'm not a native speaker. And my mic is now shot. My good one was stolen. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. See, that's the worst thing. Like, who steals someone's mic, man? That's just low blow, hey? So, but you make do with what you can, you know? If your mic's a little bit inferior, put some effects on it, you know? Give it like some Beastie Boys, like distortion or something like that. Make it sound like it's a loudspeaker or something, like a megaphone. But yeah, no, it really does help having a good microphone. So yeah, hopefully you can get one sometime. And that's inspiring, you know. Yeah, no, I'm keen to hear some, you know. And if you ever want to share like any of your tracks, I can post it on the page, you know, especially if they're music that's like people are going to inspire people. It's about healing or getting through difficult times, and I'm sure that's the sort of stuff you write about. So yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I'm keen to hear some. Yeah, Case Pastor says, I'd love to hear some of your raps, Catalyzer. MJG says, do you know Banksy, street artist? Yes. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Banksy stuff. He's done some really thought-provoking stuff, you know. He really took Black Larat's style and like really went with it, you know. No, I've done some stencil graffiti around. I did there was a coffee shop I used to go to once a week when I worked at this not-for-profit, collecting like leftover bits from industry, like bits of leather offcuts and bits of like things they'd stamp out of a machine, and offcuts of wood and glass and, you know, fabric from like fashion places, all different stuff. And it was a pretty tough job because I didn't get paid much money, but it was good. Everyone loved it because they could go to this place and buy art materials real cheap. And it was it was good, saving stuff getting thrown away into landfill. So it was this great thing. But like my treat once a week would be to go to this coffee shop, and they're always so lovely in there. And like this woman there would always do like a love heart on the coffee cup. And so I made this like 4 stencil coffee cup, and then they had a garden out the back in the coffee shop, and like it had like they had herbs and stuff growing in the garden, so they'd like go out and pick herbs and go in and put it on the food, like parsley and rosemary and things like that, and basil. And so I went there one night, and it was like a production. Like I made a proper form for it, and I made it so it folded out. So it had, like, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 stencils. I've still got it somewhere, but it but it was like a coffee cup with a love heart, and it stayed there for years and years. Because when I did it, I took my time and I fully gave it lots of coats on each thing, so it didn't flake off the wall or anything. So that was cool. I wonder if it's still there. I should go. No, it's not there. It's been so long. I don't think the coffee shop's even there anymore. But yeah, no, Banksy did some awesome stuff. Still does. Very thought-provoking. Catalyzer says, I can share the track that got me through my trauma experience. Awesome. Yeah, man. If you want to do that, yeah, it's on SoundCloud. Well, there you go. I'll find you on SoundCloud. I won't do it now because I'm in the stream. Unless you want, you can either put it in the thing or send me an email. But I will post it on the thing so other people can listen to the track. I'll post a link to your SoundCloud in the YouTube post section where you can put in stories and written stuff. That'll be awesome. Yeah, MJG says amazing artist. Yeah, Banksy is pretty awesome. Catalyzer says, yeah, Banksy, yeah, awesome. Catalyzer says, I can send you an email. Awesome. I look forward to it and hearing, and yeah, I'll follow you on SoundCloud. I see, that'll get me back listening to music again. I was just talking about this earlier. I've got my speakers here, I can I can plug my tablet into my amp and just queue up some tracks on SoundCloud and listen to it. That's awesome. I'll do that. It'll get me back listening to music again. I was just talking to my friend about that. I think it was yesterday, and I was just saying, because I've had mellophobia at times, and it's sort of pretty mild at the moment. It's not good. You lose the ability to listen to music, and hearing music actually hurts to hear it. And so I can listen to music. It's just very certain types, But I used to listen to music all the time. Having a CD player in the ute helps. So I put CDs, except even though I've gotten out of that habit. So I will start that again. I'll put some fresh CDs in there, and I'll start listening to music that way. Eliza says, I recorded that outside, by the way. Well, I went outside with my laptop in the park at night. Awesome. See, that's like that's legit production, recording in on location. I love that. Eliza says, all right, I will send you awesome stuff. Awesome. I look forward to it. MJG says, it was a pleasure to listen, Luke, and to read. I have to go. Bye all. Love you all. With the heart waving. Thanks so much for being here, MJG. Look forward to a chat again soon. Catching up. Love that latest artwork you did. Keep making art. So I really appreciate that one. You know, it brought me to tears when I saw that. When you told me what I said, it's like a hug, and you said, yeah, it totally did. So that's how much it really art does that. You know, it means a lot. MJG's got the heart. Yeah, totally. It's been an awesome chat tonight. So I look forward to listening to music again now. I should pick out some CDs to put in the car. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick 3 CDs right now, and I'm going to put them in the car. I'll show you which ones I picked. Here we go. I said 3 CDs, but I picked 4. No, I picked 5. So I've got Pink Floyd, Metal. One of my, oh, well, I love all Pink Floyd, but Metal's classic. And this is like got wax on the CD case from when I had like a candle dripping, and the candle was like putting wax there. And that's been there for like a long time, that wax. I used to have the whole every Floyd CD, and I've only got a few now. I don't know what happened to them. Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy, Michael Franti, before he did Spearhead. This is brilliant. Love Spearhead as well, but this is very poignant in today's world. And that's one of my, that was the hip hop one. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Talking Blues. This is one of my favorite Wailers. I love all the Wailers, but like this is one of my favorite. This was like a live recording, and it was when they first sort of, they had a few albums, but it was a mix of their early stuff and then their stuff when they started you know, making the albums that we all know. Trans Am, so they're like an awesome instrumental. You could actually make some awesome hip hop with Trans Am. They're like, oh, it's hard to describe. They're like not shoegaze. They're like instrumental, progressive. I mean, the name says it. Like, think of a. This is the perfect music to drive at night time. along like a highway or a mountain road or something like that. And it's called Surrender to the Night, this album. But this is they're great. And so, all right. And Akira, the Akira soundtrack. Love this soundtrack. I reckon that's a good selection of music. And I'm going to put them in the Ute, and I'll listen to these. I've got a good selection, so when I'll listen to each one of these a couple of times before I take these out and I put another lot in. So. Paige says, take care, MJG, with the heart. That's lovely. Catalyzer says, nighttime is the best time. Absolutely. Surrender to the night. Yeah. I feel like going for a drive now. And so I've seen, I mean, obviously haven't seen, I think his name's Geno Yamaguchi. I forget the name of the composer, but I actually composed a piece of music. I'll send you a link, Catalyzer, too. I did a piece that was inspired by this soundtrack. I spent like 3 months working on this track, and it was just like maybe even longer. But yeah, and it was totally my homage to that composer. And then I've seen this band live. They're awesome, Trans Am. Check them out. I have seen the Wailers live, and obviously Bob had passed, but his son was singing, and the whole band was there, Rita Marley, and yeah, it was almost everyone from the original Wailers lineup were playing, and it was an amazing night. They played, it sounded exactly like it was the Wailers. Adeliza says, Akira, dope, never watched though. Oh, you got to check it out. It is still is, I think, one of the best anime films ever made. I haven't read the manga, but like one day I'll read it, because the comic, it's got so much more of the story, but it is again very poignant. Like when you watch Akira, you'll see how the themes, like are very much, it's like science fiction, dystopian, futuristic stuff. I mean, it's a bit dated now because it's set in the past. 2019. So it's set like in 2019. And the story's got a lot of flashbacks, but it's obviously, but it is dope soundtrack. You have to see this movie. It's so good. I think you can watch it on Crunchyroll or one of those anime streaming platforms. So well worth watching. And I've seen Spearhead twice, and I met Michael Franti once. He's a really nice person. Him and his wife, met them at a music festival. I even got a bootleg of Spearhead from back in the day. I recorded myself, which was cool. I've it's somewhere in a box there of cassette tapes, so I should try and find it and see if I can digitize it. So yeah, thank you for getting me back into music. Yeah, Catalyzer says, "Damn, 3 months on a track. I would love to hear it." Yeah, for real. I will. I'll send you a link to it. It's on my SoundCloud right now. And yeah, there's a couple of different versions of it. There's like a 20-minute version, which is pretty good still, but like the main one is like 6.5 minutes, and it is just intense. Like it's probably one of the most intense tracks I've made, and so much energy in it. And like has the thing where the themes sort of build up and they sort of cross over at this point, and you'll know it when you hear it. It's just like building and building and building, and like there's these slow themes and like, and then it just like, so yeah, I can hear it now. Maybe one day I'll revisit some of this music I wrote in the past and like learn how to play it on other instruments and things like that. But just getting back to making music again will be a big thing. Catalyze says, yeah, I checked the Wikipedia page and it says has been cited as one of the greatest films ever made. I love Neon Genesis Evangelion. Anime is dope. Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. It's so good. They spent so long making this, you know. Um, yeah, and Evangelion is, there you go. That's a really good series, and yeah, there's some really awesome anime. Mushishi is one of my favorite anime series. Mushishi is the best. That's on Crunchyroll. I think Crunchyroll. It used to be on YouTube. I used to be able to watch it I watched originally all of it on here, and then when they sold the rights or something, and then they took it all down. You can still watch it for free with it. They've just got ads, but if you've got an account, you can watch it without the ads. Mushishi. It's like this wandering, like he's like a exorcist witch doctor in like feudal Japan, and he cures people of these spirits that are inhabiting them, causing them like things like, yeah, you got to see that. And the beauty about Mushishi is like there is a storyline and there is a chronology, but it doesn't matter. Like you can watch any episode almost, and it doesn't matter because each episode's like a vignette. It's like a separate thing because each time it's almost like he's a wandering healer walks into a town and they're like, oh, help so and so, there's this and then that, like I'll give you an example. one episode, this person like has dreams, and their dreams become reality, and everyone freaks out because like he's like not only foretelling the future, then it's like that person gets scared because they're scared that they're affecting everyone, and it's like it turns out he's like he has to help cure the thing, and so many different things. You know, there's this one guy who's like searching to find this mystical like rainbow, something like that. I think it's a rainbow or a cloud. No, see, it's been a while since I watched it. But every episode is just freaky. It's sort of like The Witcher too. It's like he hardly ever gets paid for what he does. He helps these people, saves a whole village, and then like they can feed him and let him stay in their house for a few days, and then he has to move on because no one's got money. So he's like, oh well, but that's not why he does it. He does it because that's him. But he's he gets by. Awesome series, Mushishi, worth watching. And of course, all the Studio Ghibli films, they're legendary. Where are we? Kello says, no, thanks. I'll take a walk and then write your email with my favorite artists of my own. Awesome. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that. I'll look them up and have a listen. And yeah, Catalozer says, fuck, 20 minutes. That's the shit. I like. Awesome. Yeah, no, I've got some long tracks on there. So I'll do that. When you email me, I'll send you like a link email back with like links to like a bunch of tracks to listen to. Catalyzer says revisiting your old music is awesome. Yeah, it is. Hey, these have all got so many memories. These CDs. You know, I was in like grade 9 in high school when I got this CD, Disposables, and like I think I was 19, but I saw Akira when I was in primary school. So I had like no, I think it might have been grade 8 in high school, but I can't remember. But it was around then, grade 7 or 8, because I had a friend of mine who's Japanese, and he got a copy of the VCR tape. Like, so I got to see it when the Japanese version, not in English, no subtitles or anything. Yeah, I got to see this band live. And then, yeah, Wailers, Pink Floyd, so memorable. Eliza says, yeah, I watch everything and very legally. Yeah, that's it. Well, the thing is that there was that whole thing about like, was it Napster, and then downloading shows to watch, and then they're on YouTube, and then you can stream them now from shows and watch them with ads and stuff. And it's all these like anime shows got so big because people were putting subtitles to them and sharing them on the net, and then these shows that only had an audience in Japan suddenly have this worldwide audience and become massive. Like Cowboy Bebop's a classic one. And so I wonder what what that director's doing now. I saw Carol on Tuesday. That was a really good series. I should look it up. He's probably doing some other stuff now. Yeah, awesome. Cage Pastor says, "Yeah, it's anime rec time." Exactly. Catalyzer says, "All the Studio Ghibli films I watched already." Yeah. It is that. Oh, they're legendary. Really some heavy stuff in them too. Like very emotional, like especially trauma. Like trauma is a big thing in all of them. Whether it's like societal trauma, like Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind. She's like, it's like good versus evil. The world's been destroyed by greed. There's so many heavy themes, and a lot of the films like show what it's like for going through trauma, and becoming strong. So they're very special films. I haven't seen any of the last couple that were released, so I will get around to watching them. It's been an awesome night tonight. Thanks everyone for being here. Like I'll probably end the stream in the next couple of minutes. And so awesome to meet you, Catalyzer. We've all enjoyed the chat tonight, and everyone who's been here. Are you sure? MJG, Cat, Cage Pastor. I think. Hope I haven't missed anyone. No, I think that's it. Basic Glitch was here. That's right. Everyone, we had a great night. Awesome chat. Yeah, Catalyzer says I'll go also. I'll go now also. Look forward to getting the email and sharing some tracks back and forth. Catalyzer says, yeah, it was a good one. Have a good one. Yeah, awesome. You too. Much love to everyone. Look forward to the next stream. This was a really good chat tonight, talking about practical things about healing and what we can do. And we got to chat about things we love, music and anime, and so good. So I hope to do a few streams during the week. I'm doing these courses, so there's only so much. But whenever I get an opportunity, I'll do it. Like the other day, I was doing gardening, so I set it up. When I was doing cooking, I'll do it like that. So awesome. We'll catch up soon, everyone. Hope you all have an awesome week. Much love.